Hello there, I'm James Phelps. I played Fred Weasley in all 8 of the Harry Potter movies, and I'm also a lifelong Lego fan.
Hi there, I'm Oliver Phelps, who played George Weasley in the Harry Potter movies, and like my brother, a lifelong Lego fan.
Hi, my name is Marcus Besse, and I'm a Lego model designer for almost 10 years, and I'm also a lifelong Harry Potter fan.
Hi, I'm Georgie. I'm a Lego designer for almost 10 years, just as Mark, just as all of us here. I'm a lifelong Lego fan and Harry Potter fan as well.
Oh yeah, I'm also a Lego fan.
You got that one in there. Yeah, we're so lucky to be able to speak to you guys, and especially see the whole arrangement behind you as well of very conveniently placed stuff in the background, but especially the Diagon Alley as well. We had an amazing time building it and seeing it firsthand the other day. So it's just been an absolutely amazing thing to be as a fan and also as someone involved with the films to be part of. What was it like for you guys to be, first of all, told, right, we're going to do Diagon Alley, and then working on that process?
I think I can speak a little bit for both of us in this first part by saying that it was a little bit of a dream come true, because it is definitely one of those locations that any Lego or any Harry Potter fan, but any Lego Harry Potter fan would wish to have in their living room, and it's definitely a location that I grew up dreaming of and wishing that I could have been like you guys, just walking through it in the real one. So having the chance to translate that into Lego form, it was definitely an awesome and very exciting experience.
Yeah, I would say it's the same with me. I always really wanted to have an experience of walking through the Diagon Alley. I think this is the closest we got actually having the model to walk through, and it was really a joy because as a location, it's so full of content. It was a joy, but also a challenge to really choose and pick what we want to include inside. Even when it's as big as this, we still have some limitations. So, yeah, that was a positive problem, but we really, really enjoyed it.
So how many new minifigures are there for the set, and how did you choose which ones were going to go in there?
Oh yeah, that's always a tough one. So we have 14 minifigures, and to be honest, we really thought hard, and we jumped back and forth trying to figure out which ones we want to include. But then we really tried to look at the most iconic scenes that happen in the street, so not necessarily only within one movie, but actually throughout the whole movies. And we ended up with what we thought is the best assortment to introduce the Diagon Alley to the kids of today. So we have Hagrid, of course, who is the guy who introduces Harry to the Diagon Alley. Then we have the trio, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, accompanied by Draco and his father, Lucius Malfoy. And then we have the most of the Weasley family. We have Fred and George, and then we have Molly, and we have Ginny. And we do have some of the shop owners as well. We have Ollivander, of course. And we have two of what would be the newcomers to the Lego assortment, which is Florian Fortescue, the owner of the ice cream shop. And we also have the photographer of the Daily Prophet. Yes, exactly. But yeah, those are the 14 ones that we've chosen.
So with all those with that many minifigures there, how big is the set in terms of size?
Well, it's actually over 1 meter long when you display all the shops next to each other, which is quite impressive and quite challenging to create packaging for, because when we started discussing how to even position the model on the front of the box, it was like, how are we going to really show this the best way? Like, because you don't want to make it super tiny, because it doesn't really communicate well to the consumer how big the model is. And it has over 5,500 bricks. So it's a lot of hours, as you guys probably already can testify for. Yeah. It's a lot of hours of sorting and finding your shapes and putting it together.
So in a nutshell, from design, like how many hours in total do you think you spent on it, from getting the original brief saying Diagon Alley is going to be a big set to then the completion? How many hours do you think it took to finish?
It's hard to point it in hours, and I would say in any form of timestamp. Like, we probably take, I think, 2 months or 2 to 3 months of work that we are, actively working on the design of the model and the graphics and the figures and everything. But it is kind of at the same time that we're doing other models or other tasks, so it's kind of a touch and go and go back to it and. Yeah. But I don't know, do you have an idea?
I would say if we would compare it to what we usually do, we definitely spent more time than we usually spend on the models, because we really went back and forth with this model and also looking at all the shops and all the characters. And there was many versions of it actually. This is not the only one, the one that we ended up with. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was full fun all the way through.
Yeah, I know that all the detail that goes into every Lego Harry Potter set is very particular and very precise. I was telling you guys earlier when I did the Weasley Burrow here.
That's convenient, James.
That just happens to be here. The fried eggs on the breakfast table really took me back to actually when we were filming the second movie, and that was a memory I didn't even know existed. So that was great knowing those details. In the Lego Diagon Alley, is there any small details which gave you the most pleasure putting in, which maybe some fans may not notice straight away?
Do you remember?
Yeah, I would say definitely going through the Weasley's Wizard Wizards was a joy, because there is so much content in that shop, and obviously we both liked it in the movie, but we were never aware of what's actually in there. There's just colors and wackiness. So we had this joy of literally going through from all the reference material that we got, and then kind of trying to pick and choose what are the most fun details to actually feature in the set. So we ended up having Dancing Doxy, which is a very fun gimmick if you're a dog owner, because it drives cat crazy. We also ended up having Fred's basic blaze box, which is essentially fireworks. Again, you guys would probably know that better than us. But that was a fun one. It adds a lot of details to the interior. Then we also had a lot of cool brick built details.
Yeah, definitely. Throughout the model, in particular with the Weasley shop, and I feel like saying your shop.
Yeah, exactly.
But with the Weasley shop,
Yeah.
it was all about trying to bring as much of that colorful and wacky, crazy environment into the model through the shapes, but also through graphics.
So, I mean, I suppose an individual question here, Marcus. As a big Harry Potter fan and a big Lego fan, like going into work, has this been, would you say, the dream job to work both with Lego on it and also with Harry Potter as well? Has that been like a great experience to be doing that? And I suppose Georgie as well, same question as well.
Yeah, certainly. I remember being a kid playing with Lego, and it was at the same time that the books were coming out, the first movies were coming out, and me and my brother, I have a younger brother, we were both kind of growing into this super fans of the franchise, and I was more of the Lego kid than my brother was, but he was always asking me to build Lego or Lego Harry Potter things, even though we didn't have a lot of Lego Harry Potter products at the time, but with whatever bricks I had, we were making up our own versions of things we would know from the books and the films. So, jump 20 years later, and then I'm here in the company actually tapping back into those memories and the universe that was created since through the movies that were made and creating these toys is definitely an experience that I couldn't have dreamt or wished for anything better than. It's really, really a highlight of my 30-year-old life.
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't know how to rephrase it better. I mean, I think we have a very similar story. Both me and Marcus are similar age, and we were just at the right time to grow up both with Harry Potter and Lego at the same time. And I remember back then when I saw that Lego is actually doing Harry Potter, I thought that that's the best that Lego could do. And then just having a chance to go back and revisit that to 20 years later, that's just amazing. It's definitely an adventure, very personal one.
Because I remember when I started in the company, and it was at the same time that you did, we were finishing off like the latest, the last products we just launched based on the Deathly Hallows. And at the time, I thought, okay, I missed the train. I missed the boat for this wave. It's like, there's no new movies that we knew of, and maybe there will never be Lego Harry Potter again. And there was a little bit of a heartbreak feeling, like,
yeah, exactly. Now I'm gonna have like the theme was shut down. Basically, when the movies were over, we couldn't really know that it's gonna be back. And
so when it came back to life, it was like super like amazing joy. It was like, I have to be involved in this. I have to be part of this. And here we are.
Well, you guys have done an absolutely amazing job. We had such a great time building it and then obviously playing with it after. But personally, I can't thank you enough for all the intricate details that you put in, especially in Weasley Wizard Wheezes, because like you say in the film, it's pretty much just a flash past most of them, but there's such creative elements to it. So thank you very much for including that in the actual set itself.
Cheers.
Yeah, I mean, has the technology like changed in the way Lego sets have been created over the years? And if they have, where has that helped you in building the Lego Diagon Alley?
Certainly, we have, Lego has always had this kind of set library of shapes, and we introduce new shapes every year, and we retire some of the Lego bricks every year. So new building techniques come into play, new ways of translating any detail that you want into Lego shape can kind of evolve throughout time. So it definitely allows us now to revisit things that we might have built in the past in a whole new, refreshed way. And in particular with Diagon Alley, we did launch a product back in 2011, I believe, or around that time, that it was called Diagon Alley, and it did had a couple of the locations or shops from Diagon Alley, but it was executed in a form that it was more towards a play set, and it had some very cool, intricate detailing, but it wasn't the most accurate representation of the shops. Whereas in this model, we really tried to be more truthful to the reference and get as much accuracy as possible to what was part of the production of the set, of the movie set back 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I would say the same definitely in terms of characters with technology, but also the style that we evolved within the chaos. It definitely gave me a chance to kind of portray you guys and as well as the other characters much better with the assortment of colors we have, assortment of elements, and so forth. So that was a joy to kind of see the most correct version of Lego Harry Potter minifigures.
And do you guys have a wall chart, as it were, with the different pieces on offer, or is it almost like a language where you have learned from building, so you'll know like what piece would make a curve? For like, say, the window pieces on Weez's Wizarding Wheezes. Do you know the brick perfectly well would fit in with that?
I think it does become a skill that you develop over the years. That I don't know if you've seen the Lego movie where Emmett, our lead hero, it kind of looks around the world and he identifies pieces by number, and it's not exactly like that. But I've always had this thing. And because I was building so much as a kid, I remember having this personal challenge of looking around the world and trying to identify Lego shapes in the things that I would see around me. And there was always the fun challenge, the fun part of then bringing that back into playing with Lego. So I think now we do develop this kind of knowledge of the shapes that exist and how you translate certain shapes into bricks. But we also have our own Lego stock in the building, in this building where we are, which has all the shapes and all the colors that are currently in production. And it is very inspiring to just walk through these aisles of like a vault of Lego bricks and just see anything that could sparkle that moment of inspiration, the inspiration that you might just be eager to find.
Yeah, I would also say like what's great about being here in Lego is that we're really, really being one big family, almost like a hive mind, talking to each other. So it's not just us. There's a lot of people around the house very much interested in Harry Potter. So, each day you would have people coming over with ideas, suggestions. So that's the beauty of it. We really try to give best all of us too.
I mean, yeah, you definitely get that sense of the family, as it were, for any product that Lego have produced, but especially this one. One question I've always wanted to ask you guys. This particular set has 5,544 pieces. Does that include the spares?
Ooh, it's a very technical question and a very good one. Actually, no, it doesn't. So the number represents the official piece count that you need to build the model that we are showing on the box. And everything that is spare, it's a technical need from our packaging process to ensure that the consumer gets all the right pieces they need. And some of them are so tiny, so light, that even our super smart and amazing robot scales that we have in production sometimes might miss if they are or not in the bags. So we overdose them to make sure that consumers gets everything they need.
Yeah. Right, okay.
And if you want to break that even further, I would say also the pre-assembled pieces like minifigure bodies and minifigure legs are counted as one piece, essentially. So
right, okay.
Yeah, even though a pair of legs, it's technically three pieces, and the torso is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces.
Yes. Yeah. Which you're not supposed to put apart, but technically you can.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, Georgia, I was going to say, because you've designed over 1,000 minifigures.
Yeah.
I'll see in the Diagon Alley set, there's a couple of new ones.
Oh yeah.
Which would be your favorite and for what reason?
Wow, that's a tough one, man. 1,000 minifigures. If I look at the recent one, one of my favorites is definitely a nearly headless Nick, because as a character, it was one of my favorite characters. I really like the actor. I grew up with John Cleese and his series. And it was also a challenge because essentially you're supposed to translate the character who's a ghost onto a solid minifigure pieces and then just create this feeling of a transparent minifigure. But I was very happy with the result. So I would say from top of my mind, that's definitely one of my favorites.
I mean, the one thing I loved about the characters, Georgie, was the fact that Fred and George were wearing not the same clothes as we don't do in the movie. In the last, like when they open the joke shop, they've got different waistcoats on, different tie. So that was really good to see because I suppose you could just be generic, right, identical characters, but it was nice to see the individuality there.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's, to be honest, that's what we would usually do when the torsos are so similar. We would basically save a frame and make something else. But I would say in this case, the Fred and George were very essential to the model. We only had one shot ever, which was in 2011, to make a Fred and George where they shared the torso. So I was thinking of what could be better this time, and this is why I tried to give them a very personal torsos. And also what's different from the old ones, because the older torsos could be just a regular suit, whereas now I managed to build in a little W in the ties, which really ties it to the characters, which was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. We had quite a few of fans from both Lego and Harry Potter in the VIP section send us a few questions for you guys to answer. So we'll go through those if that's okay.
Yeah.
First one was from Mitchell, and he asked, from all the Harry Potter sets designed, which one is your personal favorite and why?
Ooh, you like that one?
You go first.
All right. So I think I would go with 2018 Great Hall, which was the flagship of when we decided to relaunch Harry Potter. And what I really liked about it was the combination, was the good selection of figures, students and teachers. And it was a very detailed Great Hall, because with all the previous castles, we focused on the castle as a whole, which was great. Whereas this time around, it was the Great Hall, the location where everything happens. And we really, really focused on the details within that one. So I would say so far, that would be the one.
For me, it would be, I don't know, I really like a lot of them. And it feels like for different reasons. But I think the micro scale castle that is right here, that Justin Ramsden designed, it's probably one of those really cool models that everybody would love to have space in their living room to just put on display. I don't have it at home on display, but I do have the box somewhere stored. And I hope to one day actually open it up and build it through. But I think that's probably, one of the favorites. But I love them all. Yeah.
Well, James and Gary have asked, there are so many scenes that you have yet to take inspiration from. How do you decide which scenes to choose from?
Well, we start with a lot of discussions with different people. So we have a big team of people working on Lego Harry Potter. So we have marketeers, we have project manager, we have graphic designers, model designers. We have a lot of fans of the franchise throughout the house that are not even, working directly with the products, but they are so passionate about that, about Harry Potter, that anytime they can, they bring their ideas in. And so we often have in these kind of projects like a brainstorm session and kind of a creative boost where anybody that wants participates and creates sketch models, ideas written on a paper, or even drawings. We go from there, trying to recognize what are the strongest concepts, what are the things that bring most novelty and newness to what we have done, but also that bring enough iconicness and things that are easily recognizable. We always want to bring in new consumers to the Lego portfolio and to embrace the Lego experience. So it's a combination of a lot of things. And the longer we stay with the franchise, I think the harder the challenge will be to bring in newer things. But we definitely appreciate the challenge, and so far it's been very much a fun one.
Cool. Chima asks, I think that's how you pronounce the name, Chima. Sometimes we get brick-built creatures like the basilisk, the horntail, or forks, and sometimes the creatures are new molded figures like Buckbeak, the Patronum, or the different creatures in the CMF. I always assume this is a technical or budget choice, but as designers, what do you prefer and why?
Yeah, well, I would say in this particular case, yes, you're completely right. It is, we are very bound by what we can do, by the flames, by the budget. But we're also looking at what is the best way to portray the creature. What is the scale of the creature? And I can't really tell what is my favorite because obviously I really like to get a molded pieces that would look exactly like the creature, but I also like to build with bricks. And if there is a really, really big creature, we do see a potential for doing what we're best at, brick building something. So it's really a balance, but we always go for what we think is the best at the time.
Yeah, it a lot of times relates also to the age mark that we're targeting with our products. For example, with a creature like Buckbeak, which is essentially in its overall shape, it's kind of a horse with wings. It is something that is fairly small, but it is also something that kids will be, flying around the room with and handling heavily in their hands. Therefore, it wouldn't lend itself to be something that would be too fragile. And we have seen creations online from fans of brick-built versions of Buckbeak that are amazing.
Yeah, which look amazing. Yeah.
Very intricate and very detailed, but they are very fragile in their essence as well. So for something like this, it is important for us to provide to the consumer something that really lives up to the experience of the play, of the role play that this franchise lends itself for.
Adam asks, has the introduction of the medium legs allowed more characters or different versions of characters to be created compared to past sets?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it really allowed us to kind of show how the characters are progressing through the movies, and especially in Harry Potter. I think we did create teenage legs for the Harry Potter. Essentially, we reserved the short legs for the first two movies when the students are still kids. Then jumping to the next two movies, we have a teenage legs, and then moving on, we have a long legs. So really helping us with differentiating the age as they're growing further.
Bob asks, Lego Harry Potter Hedwig, number 75979, is a unique and fantastic interactive Harry Potter set. Oh, just like that one. Have you considered designing any more complicated interactive Harry Potter sets using technology that is seen in the new Nintendo sets or even Lego robotics sets? For example, Spike, Boost.
Well, we are always thinking of how to bring something new to the game, to the table, and we have definitely a bunch of different ideas. And I wish I could speak about a lot of them, but maybe one day we will be talking about them just like this, if they see the light of day and they come out. But I can't speak much more than that about the future. I can only say that that model in particular was definitely a fun challenge and kind of brought a different twist to the products that we have been launching for the Lego Harry Potter. And I can only personally hope and wish that we will continue to do more of these kind of different experiences around building. Yeah.
So David asks, I'd like to know what you guys, specific design backgrounds are, i.e. graphic designer, production design, industrial design, etc., and how the interview process for Lego goes.
I started with a high school of design where I went for interior design and continued university for industrial design. And then I ended up being a graphic designer, essentially because I always wanted to do minifigures. But I would say the main take that you can take from any university, I happen to be with design background, but there is a lot of people around the house who don't have design background. The main take that you can get is simply working with people and being able to bring things from the beginning to the end. So.
Yeah, I have a completely different experience from Georgie, which just shows the breadth of backgrounds that we have in this house. I was studying computer engineering, so I am an engineer by half of the brain, and then I am a creative and an artist on the other half. And I was a fan of Lego before getting hired by the company, and I was building with Lego bricks as a hobby and spending a lot of my money on it and doing conventions and taking part of the competitions online. And then I found out Lego was looking for designers at the time, and this was back in 2010. And I sent an application with a portfolio of creations, some of my best creations, trying to kind of capture their attention. And I ended up coming over to Billund for an interview, and the rest is history. It's been 10 years, and I've been working as a model designer.
Oh, amazing! I've got to be honest. I did have a look through your portfolio before we came on board, and it just shows, like as you say, the creative output from being a Lego fan with it as well. Burak asks, what is your favorite store in Diagon Alley? And I'd like to add, there is a right and wrong answer.
Oh, is there? Okay, yeah, it's a mouthful of a name to say it, honestly, for a non-English speaking person. It's the Weasley's Wizard Whizzes.
And I second that.
Yeah, definitely. But I also really, really like Flourish and Bloods. Not only because of the moments that happen in the movies, but also because it's, I don't know, the richness of that universe of so many books and so many stories. And I wish I could have gone there and just actually see, probably the books on shelves were not really books, I don't know. But read what was written in those pages.
Yeah, but especially as well, like how you designed the interior as well to look like bookshelves and to look like, so it's not just a generic store, as it were.
Yeah, and that is the fun part of these models, is like looking into the insides and trying to find new ways of creating these details that are also, using the bricks in different ways, that, showing you that a 1x2 plate can be so many different things. And it is one of the problems, or not one of the problems, but one of the challenges for a lot of people out there, that they look at Lego and sometimes they think, oh, it's just what I see in the box. But actually, if you just take a closer look, it's the same bricks that you have throughout so many different boxes, but it's so many more than just that brick. It goes beyond that, and it's all about the imagination, but it's also about thinking outside of the box, and that's what always captivated me the most about Lego.
So Donovan wants to know, what part of this set was your eureka moment?
Definitely going from one scale
Yeah, I
to
think
the next
so.
one. That was definitely.
Yeah, I think that shift of let's go with these three main locations in this kind of scale, to what if we went slightly smaller in scale of each individual shop, but actually grew the shop. And the first time when we first saw that coming together in real bricks, it just became like this aha moment of, yeah, that's the way it needs to be. That's the way it really creates this wow moment.
Just started looking like the actual Diagon Alley, because we were able to include so much more. Because we ended up with this huge set of buildings, but then we were looking back at the movie and we made a comment that, but there's so much more. There's more details in a movie than in an actual Lego set. What can we do to make that more correct? Then
And like if fans out there are questioning, like, oh yeah, but maybe we lost a floor here and there in the buildings, and it is true. There was a compromise that we did. We reduced the floor from the height of the buildings, but actually we have no reference to what's inside of these floors. So anything we kept adding to the building, it would always mean that we would have to make something up, which can be a challenge within a franchise and a universe that is so protected and loved. So also taking that away, it was taking away the challenge of just making up stuff that we didn't have reference for. So that was definitely, I would say, the biggest eureka moment of our design process.
I also really enjoyed how you can actually separate each shop and put them however which way you want. And you've even put the designs, going back to the Wanted poster, I noticed when we separated them, when we were building them, you could actually see the Wanted poster in between. So you don't necessarily have to have it set up exactly how it comes straight away.
It also plays to the idea that, throughout the movies, we do see things changing a little bit in the Diagon Alley. So I think Lego also plays to that part, and that you can have your own version of Diagon Alley at home, and you can rearrange it however you want it. You can even, combine the buildings back to back to kind of close them if you want to integrate them in your own Lego town at home. So I think that we try to keep it as versatile as possible.
Yeah. And Magnus asks, as a designer, how do you balance selection of minifigures in a set? So between key characters versus the lesser known characters. Like, say for in this one, you've got Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and then you've got like the photographer from the Daily Prophet. Like that balance.
Yeah. So we're always starting by looking at the scenes that we're trying to depict and looking at what are the key characters in that scene. And obviously, we're always trying to give the people the heroes of the movie, but then we're also looking how can we expand the universe further and how can we include characters that we never done before. So this is basically the balance, some key stuff in there and also some exclusivity.
And Adam asks, what is your vision for the future of the Lego Harry Potter theme?
Ooh. We actually do not have a crystal ball from Professor Trelawney, but we do have some hopes and dreams. I personally hope to see Harry Potter continue to be a franchise for Lego for a long time, and there's still so many different moments to be created and transformed into Lego bricks. But obviously, we have to keep our mouths shut for the most part when it comes to talking about the future. We want to surprise our fans. We want to bring something new that they did not expect. And if I would talk too much about it now, it would spoil that. But yeah, I'm hopeful that it will last for a very long time.
I think the good side of it is definitely both me and Marcus personally would like to keep working on it for many years to come.
No, and then I suppose last question on from our questions type thing would be, when's the set available and where can people get it from and buy it from?
Yeah, so the Lego Diagon Alley will be available from 1st of September 2020, and people will be able to buy it on all the Lego brand stores and lego.com.
Thank you, Max and Georgie, for joining us. I cannot stress what a dream chat this has been for myself and Oliver, being huge Lego fans. And thank you for answering our questions. Thank you for answering all the fans' questions. And thank you again for designing and creating such amazing Harry Potter Lego sets for us to build.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. I think it was I'm saying in the name of both, it was a great experience. And this is probably the closest we got to the actual universe.
Yeah, are there any messages that you'd like to say to the Lego fan base watching this?
Well, we really hope you guys have a blast building this model and any of the Lego Harry Potter models. And we hope you appreciate all the effort that the whole team behind Lego Harry Potter has put into this. Thank you guys for having us. And thank you for everybody out there that sent out their questions. We hope we answered some of them, or most of them. Probably there's a lot more out there and we wish we had more time, but who knows, another opportunity. And to you guys on that side, whenever you're in Billund, just come over. Knock on our door in the office, we'll be here.
Apart from
you around the streets of Billund.
That'll be great. Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Bye.